Tina abruptly stopped in her tracks, suddenly wheeling on Henry with an icy glare as he kept carrying Rory. "You never once cared about Sophie ever since she was born," she sneered coolly. "How did you find the audacity to accuse me here?" While Henry was stumped, Linda promptly leaped in, as understanding as ever. "How could you say that? Unlike you, Henry's always busy with work and does not goof off at home like you. He can't help if he's neglected Sophie a little. If anything, you should be understanding instead of blaming him. And see? He loves children. Why would he really neglect Sophie? Shouldn't you be reflecting on yourself instead?" Not only was she sucking up to Henry, but she was also throwing barbs at Tina for spoiling Sophie, which was why Henry did not favor her. Tina wheeled on her with a piercing glare and warned darkly, "You don't get to talk here." Tears promptly welled up in Linda's eyes as she leaned on Henry while shooting Tina a wounded look. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to butt in. I just feel bad for Henry, and I couldn't stand this misunderstanding." It only left Tina feeling further disgust. "Sometimes I really wonder how much trash an old bag like you can take on." "Tina." Henry glared at Tina right then, a coolness showing over his handsome face. "It's all right. Don't get upset for my sake." Linda tugged on Henry's sleeve, suddenly a mediator. For Tina's part, she was not bothered to stay, and she continued inside since the competition was very important to her. She would not even have talked to them if Henry had not mentioned her dearest Sophie. She headed to the lounge to get some coffee, since she only napped for a few hours and it was just 15 minutes before the competition. Nearby, Linda was watching. Tina. Seeing no one else was around, she entered and greeted Tina as if it was perfectly natural. Tina ignored her and headed straight to the cabinet to get a cup. Behind her, Linda was eyeing her hand. The same long, slender hand that effortlessly sketched designs that could take anyone's breath away. Her eyes flashed, and she went over to get herself a cup as well. Tina continued to ignore her as she brewed herself an Americano with the coffee maker. When it was done and she was just about to reach in for her cup, Linda suddenly reached out and jammed her finger on the button. She could not resist smiling as scalding water splashed down. She could already imagine Tina's right hand being scalded and taken out of commission, or better yet, disabled for life, so that she could not even lift a pen. However, her smile froze in the next instant, as she did not expect Tina to withdraw her hand just before the water could reach her. She was so quick that no more than droplets reached her. Even as Linda clawed at her in reflex to hold her in place, she missed again as Tina sidestepped her, knocking her on the shoulder as she moved. Caught off guard, Linda stumbled and reached out instinctively to catch her balance. But in her panic, she pressed the same button by accident, while knocking off the cup from under the dispenser. Boiling water splashed squarely over her right hand, leaving her with a burning agony that cut into the bone. Arg! Even as she let out a blood-curdling scream, she was so stunned that it took her seconds to turn off the water with a shaking hand. "Mommy!" Rory appeared out of nowhere, and seeing that Linda was hurt, she screamed as she turned and ran to Henry, sobbing, "Daddy! Daddy!" Henry was busy with a call, but he quickly hung up and dropped to a crouch, scooping her up as he coaxed her. "What's wrong, Rory?" "Achin." Rory kept sobbing. Tina burned Mommy's hand. Henry's face dropped, and he dashed toward the lounge with Rory still in his arms. There were others who heard the commotion and wanted a peek, but Henry's glare left them stunned, too terrified to move another step. Once inside the lounge, Henry quickly closed the door behind him. "Henry!" Tears welled up in Linda's eyes, her voice raspy as she was clearly in a lot of pain. Hearing the endless grief in Linda's voice as she called his name, Henry shot Tina an icy glare even as he hurried to Linda's side. Holding her arm in place, he splashed cold water over Linda's red, swelling hand. "Ah!" Linda gasped in pain, her lips pursed and trembling, looking ever so miserable. "Just hold on." Pain showed all over Henry's face even as he tenderly comforted Linda. However, the more he did, the more tears welled up in Linda's eyes. Tina naturally refused to watch the drama queen's performance and turned, striding outside. She actually felt nothing knowing that Linda was hurt. And she certainly was no saint either. If she had not moved aside quick enough, it would have been her hand scalded instead of Linda's. "Stop right there!" Henry bellowed after her nonetheless. How could she not feel guilty at all after hurting Linda? As Tina ignored him and continued outside, he promptly let go of Linda and strode up to Tina, seizing her viciously by the wrist and pulling her back violently. At the same time he snarled, "How could you be so vile? Scalding Linda's hand. Don't you know that she needs it?" Tina looked up at Henry smirking. So he was pinning the blame on her without a care. In the past she would have been devastated after he did the same thing time and time again. She would worry that Henry would misunderstand and despise her, which was why she would always try to defend herself. However, that man took a side from the very start and would turn a blind eye to the truth. Now, Tina only found her past self ever so foolish. Meeting Henry's threatening glare, she laughed. "You're accusing me? Then where's your evidence?" The accuser must always present evidence to back up their proof, and there were no cameras in the lounge. If anything, that was the reason why Linda had so boldly tried to scald Tina's hand with the hot water dispenser. Be that as it may, seeing that Tina was denying it, Rory promptly hugged Henry's leg, bawling out loud, "No, Daddy. I saw it. Tina threw hot water on Mommy. And Mommy taught me to always apologize if I did something wrong. Why won't you apologize, Tina? Don't cry. Daddy believes you." Henry comforted Rory for a moment before wheeling on Tina, his visage cold as he snapped, "There. Rory's words are evidence. She's just a 5-year-old child, she'd never lie."